Hello and welcome to this 1-hour English vocabulary lesson. In this lesson, you're going to learn over 150 advanced expressions that you can add to your vocabulary to sound fluent and advanced in English. Are you excited? Now, because this is a long lesson, what I've done is I've divided it into different groups. So you'll learn one group of words, and then you can review that if you'd like, and then you can move on to another group of words. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Welcome back to J Forest English Training, your place to become a fluent, confident English speaker. Now let's get started. In your first group, you're going to learn over 50 expressions that you can use to share your opinion. So you can use these to share a positive opinion when you're agreeing with opinion, disagreeing with opinion, or to ask someone for their opinion as well. Let's get started. Now let's get started with first sharing your personal opinion. Let's say you're in a work meeting and you have an idea you want to share with everyone. We should hire a marketing expert to build our website. You can absolutely say that, but you can sound more professional, more advanced if you use an opinion word. Now, there are many different phrases you can use to share your personal opinion. I recommend starting with 2 to 3 that you like the most, and then you can add more once you get comfortable with them so you have variety and you're not always using the same one. Here's the list. In my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective, from my point of view, personally, I think that. In my view, I'd say that. I believe that. I strongly, firmly believe that. I'm convinced that. There's no doubt in my mind that. I feel that. In my mind, it seems to me that. So let's take our idea again. We should hire a marketing expert to build our website. As far as I'm concerned, we should hire a marketing expert. In my opinion, in my mind, personally, I think that we should hire a marketing expert. So you can use any one of these, and remember, variety is key. You don't always want to say, in my opinion. You can absolutely use that, but you want to have variety. Now let's talk about agreeing with an opinion. So you're in a meeting and a colleague says, we should postpone the conference. Or your colleague used an opinion word and said, I firmly believe that we should postpone the conference. Now let's say that you agree with your colleague. What can you say? Well, again, here's a big list. Start with 1 to 2 and add them as you get comfortable. I agree. I agree with you. I think so too. That's a good point. You're right. Definitely, absolutely. I second that. I couldn't have said it better myself. I couldn't agree more. We're on the same page. You hit the nail on the head. So your colleague says, from my perspective, we should postpone the conference. And you say, I couldn't agree more. We should postpone the conference. You're right. We should postpone the conference. Absolutely, we should postpone the conference. I agree with you. Now let's say your colleague shared an opinion that started with, I don't think. I don't think we should postpone the conference. Personally, I don't think we should postpone the conference. We have one very specific phrase that you can use when you want to agree with a negative opinion. Do you know what that is? In my mind, I don't think we should postpone the conference. Neither do I. Neither do I. You only use this when you're agreeing with I don't think. Neither do I. Now let's talk about disagreeing with an opinion. So you're in a meeting and your colleague says, in my mind, we should look for a new supplier. Now you don't agree. What can you say? You can say, I disagree with you. I'm afraid I disagree. On the contrary, I understand where you're coming from, but I respect your opinion, but that's a good point. However, I see your point, but I have a different perspective. I think, can I share my opinion? That's one way of looking at it, but have you considered the fact that? Now, the first one I shared, I disagree with you, is probably the least commonly used because it sounds argumentative. And we generally want to say this softly to someone. So it's way more common to say, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I disagree with you. It makes it a lot softer. Or you could acknowledge that I respect your opinion, but I don't think that's a good idea. I respect your opinion, but I think we should keep our supplier. My personal favorite in this category is I understand where you're coming from, but, and then you share your opinion or whatever information you like. I understand where you're coming from. This is another way of saying I respect your opinion. I understand where you're coming from, but right now isn't the best time to change our suppliers because it's our busiest time of year. We should wait until Q4. And remember, you can add your personal opinion words as well. From my perspective, in my mind, from my point of view, we should wait until Q4. So you can absolutely combine these different opinion words together. Now let's talk about sharing a general opinion. So something that most people would agree with. Here's a statement. Repetition is key when you're learning any new skill. Now, I personally believe this, but it's not my opinion per se. This is just a commonly held opinion by most people, by many different people. So here are some general opinion words you can use. It's said that, it's believed that, I've heard that, it's considered that, it's generally accepted that, most agree that, some say that, it goes without saying that, researchers, experts suggest that. So I could say it's generally accepted that repetition is key when you're learning any new skill. And personally, I agree. And personally, I couldn't have said it better myself. So you absolutely can share a general opinion, but then agree with that general opinion using one of the phrases you've already learned. Or maybe you want to disagree with this statement. Well, then of course you can use one of the phrases to disagree. On the contrary, repetition isn't that important. I'm afraid I disagree. Repetition isn't that important in my mind, and then you can share your opinion. And finally, let's talk about how to ask someone for their opinion. So let's say I shared a general opinion. Most agree that repetition is key when learning a new skill. And I want to ask for your opinion on this specific topic. I can say, do you agree? What's your opinion? What do you think? What are your thoughts? What's your view? How do you see the situation? What's your take on it? What about you? How about you? Has that been your experience? What has your experience been? Are we on the same page? Is that something you would support too? So if you're talking to someone who's currently learning a new skill, it could be really interesting to ask them, has that been your experience? What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? So now you have 50 plus phrases that you can use in any situation: formal, informal, professional meeting, casual party with friends, to talk about opinions, because everybody loves sharing their opinion, right? So now you get to share your opinion. I want you to share either a personal opinion or a general opinion related to the subject of languages in the comments below. And the fun part, you can look in the comments and then you can reply back to the other students and you can agree or you can disagree, or maybe you can even ask someone more information about their opinion. Try to use the different opinion words that you learned in this lesson. So have fun in the comments below. Amazing job. Of course, you need to practice and repeat these words to get comfortable using them. So why don't you bookmark this video, add it to your playlist so you can review it again and again. For now, let's move on to our second group. And in this group, you're going to learn over 50 words that you can use to attend job interviews professionally. So you'll learn how to talk about yourself, your experience, your education, your background, and everything you need for job interviews. Let's get started. Let's get started with the first question that you're going to be asked. Tell me about yourself. When you're asked this question, you absolutely must use the expression, I have more than, over, or almost 10 years of experience. And then you can add as a and your job title. As a project manager, as an accountant. Don't forget that article. It's very important that it's there before your job title. Now, you can also talk about your experience in a particular field. I have almost 20 years of experience in the project management industry. I have more than 15 years of experience in the IT sector. So you can use field, industry, or sector. Now notice you have more than or over. That's when the number is greater than. And then you have almost. That's when the number is less than. So if you actually have 13 or 14 years of experience, well, it sounds better to use a round number like 15. So you can say almost 15 years of experience if you have 13 or 14. Now, you can add to this and tell us more about your responsibilities in that role. So you can say in this role, which is your role as a financial analyst, in this role, you could also say in that role, it doesn't matter, in that role, I was responsible for, or you can say I am responsible for, was if you're viewing the role as complete, and I am responsible for if you're currently doing that role. I was responsible for. Now after this, we need a gerund verb. So you can use many different verbs to talk about your experience. These are the most common verbs you can use. In this role, I was responsible for managing, overseeing, leading, coordinating, creating, developing, reviewing, improving, streamlining, and analyzing. Of course, you can use other verbs, but these are the most common. Now, streamlining, this means improving the efficiency or effectiveness. So as a financial analyst, you could say, I have over 20 years of experience as a financial analyst in the IT industry. In this role, I'm responsible for overseeing a team of 15 people, and I'm responsible for streamlining our operations. Now, in a job interview, you absolutely want to use more academic or formal adjectives. You don't want to say, I have a lot of experience. That doesn't sound very strong or convincing. It sounds a lot more impressive if you say, I have extensive experience. I have significant experience. So those are two must-know adjectives that you should use in job interviews. Extensive and significant, which simply is a more formal way of saying a lot of. I have significant experience. And again, after this, you need a gerund verb. You can use any of the verbs I've already shared, and of course, you'll have specific verbs for your industry and your specific job title. I have extensive experience creating international marketing campaigns for a variety of industries. Now, after this expression, I have significant, extensive experience, you could also use a noun. I have significant project management experience. I have significant financial analysis experience. So you don't have to use a gerund verb, you could also use a noun. If you're asked about your education or your credentials, you can simply say, I have a bachelor of. I have a bachelor of science, a bachelor of arts, a bachelor of engineering, whatever that may be. Now, you can end it there, but you may also choose to identify the school and the year you graduated. Those aren't requirements, but if you went to a prestigious or well-known school, or you recently graduated, those might be useful details to include. I have a Bachelor of Science from Cornell. I graduated in 2020. You could also use the verbs received or obtained, which are more formal than have. However, it's extremely common to use the verb have. I have a bachelor, I have a master, but you can absolutely use received or obtained to use the more formal version. I received my Master of Education from Cornell in 2020. I obtained my Master of Engineering from MIT in 2019. If your credential is a certification, you can use the verbs I received, I completed, or I obtained. I completed my PMP in 2019. Now notice here I use an acronym, PMP. If I'm applying for a job in the project management industry, they know what a PMP is. It's the most prestigious certification in the industry. It stands for Project Management Professional. So there's no need to identify an acronym if that acronym is well known in your specific industry. Let's talk about your personal strengths. The interviewer is likely going to ask you, what are your strengths? What would you say are your 3 best qualities? So here you can use a transition word. As for my strengths, that's just to introduce the point. As for my strengths, I'm extremely, and then you can list the quality. Now notice here I use the adjective extremely. This is a more convincing adjective than I'm really or very. You want to avoid those common adjectives because they don't stand out, and it's way more convincing to use a stronger adjective in a job interview like extremely. I'm extremely hardworking, which sounds stronger than I'm really hardworking. Let's review some common adjectives that you're going to use, and for all of these adjectives, you're going to use the verb to be and then list the adjective. I'm extremely hardworking, committed, trustworthy, honest, focused, methodical, proactive, a team player. For a team player, you can't use an adjective. You're simply going to say, I'm a team player. You're not going to say, I'm extremely team player. That doesn't work. I'm a team player. Now let's talk about some specific skills you should highlight in your interview. Now the following skills are rated as the top 10 skills that employers want. Of course, the skills are specific to your industry, but you can take this as a general list of skills that would be useful to highlight during the interview. And to talk about these skills, you can say, I have. And for an adjective, you can say, I have advanced, I have superior, I have excellent, and then you list the skill. I have excellent time management skills. I have superior communication skills. I have advanced adaptability skills. The other top 10 skills are problem solving, teamwork, creativity, leadership, interpersonal skills, attention to detail, and work ethic. For work ethic, we have a very specific adjective, and that's strong. I have a strong work ethic. So this is the specific expression for work ethic. I have a strong work ethic. So let's say you want to show off your communication skills. I have superior communication skills. Now let's say the interviewer wants to know why you're interested in this specific position. You could say, I'm looking for an opportunity to further or to develop my X skills. So your project management skills, your teamwork skills, your financial analysis skills, whatever the specific skill is. You could also say, I'm looking for an opportunity to gain experience in, and then you can talk about a specific field, industry, or sector. In the IT industry, in the project management field, in the marketing sector. You should absolutely have a conclusion. Don't just say, thank you for your time. You should leave them with a really strong impression of your skills and your ability to complete the job and be an asset to the organization. So you can say, I believe that, I know that, I'm confident that my extensive project management skills would make me a valuable asset to your company, your team, your organization. And I look forward to the opportunity to contribute to your goals. Of course, you should take this and adapt it to your specific industry or role, but you absolutely want a strong conclusion statement to impress the interviewer. So now you have 50 plus advanced English expressions that you can use to impress your interviewer. I want you to practice in the comments below by answering the question, tell me about yourself, and try to use as many different expressions from this lesson as you can. I can't wait to learn a little bit more about your professional background. I am so excited for you to attend your next job interview and use all your new vocabulary. You are going to sound just like a native speaker. Now let's move on to the next group where you're going to learn 15 advanced expressions to sound fluent. All these expressions you can use in your daily vocabulary, and first I explain what the expression is, I explain how to use it, and then you'll see example sentences using that expression. And at the end of this group, you're going to complete a quiz to make sure you really know how to use these 15 new expressions. Let's get started. Expression number 1, one's take on something. This is simply another way to ask someone for their opinion or ideas. So if you're in a meeting, it's very common to say, "What's your take on that? What's your take on that?" And then that being whatever you're discussing, maybe a new idea, a new project, a new plan. And to reply, you could say, "Well, my take on it is," and then you simply state your opinion or your idea. We also sometimes will state our opinion or idea. For example, "I think we should delay the project." And then we add, "That's my take on it." That's my take on it. Number 2, to be in a position to. This is an expression that simply means to be able to or to be capable of. So you might say, "We're not in a position to take on any new clients. At least that's my take on it." Or you might ask, "Is the company in a position to take on more debt? Is the company able to?" Number 3, to be on the right track. I love this expression because it means you're making good progress on something specific. For example, you might say, "We haven't solved the problem yet, but we're on the right track." So the problem still exists, but you're headed towards the solution. You're making good progress. You're on the right track. So if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll solve the problem. Number 4, to stem from. This is an excellent business or academic expression, and this means to be caused by or to come from. So you might read in an article, "A lot of health problems stem from poor diet." So the health problems are caused by, stem from, a poor diet. Said another way, you could say a poor diet causes health problems. But remember, we're switching them because we're using stem from, caused by. Number 5, to be a given. A given. This is something that is well known as an established fact or truth. So I might share my fact or truth. If you want to be a confident English speaker, you have to practice speaking. That's a given. It's just another way of saying that's a fact. At least that's my take on it. And said another way, I can say it's a given, to be a given that. It's a given that if you want to be a confident speaker, you need to practice speaking. Number 6, to take X into account. X is something, a noun, and that simply means to account for or to consider something. For example, when you're planning a vacation, you need to take exchange rates into account. The exchange rate, the time zone difference, the customs, the culture into account. Number 7, this is a good one, to grapple with. To grapple with. This is another way of saying to deal or cope with a difficult situation. So let's take a difficult situation. Social isolation during the pandemic. That's been very difficult. Many people are grappling with, they're dealing with, they're coping with the situation. Many people are grappling with isolation during the pandemic. Number 8, to be short on something. This simply means you don't have enough of something. For example, I'm short on time this week. Or I can't go on that vacation because I'm short on cash. I don't have enough. Number 9, to be up in the air. We use this expression to talk about a plan or an issue that's unsettled or unresolved or uncertain, up in the air. For example, my summer plans are up in the air. They're uncertain. I haven't planned them yet. Or I might say, the future of that business is up in the air. It's uncertain. Number 10, to bring someone up to speed. When you bring someone up to speed, you share the latest information with them. So let's say your colleague was on vacation and they get back and they could ask you, hey, can you bring me up to speed? Can you share the latest information? Can you bring me up to speed on the Jones project? So you could talk about a specific situation or just in general. Can you bring me up to speed? Number 11, this is a great one, a deal breaker. A deal breaker is something that causes you to abandon a plan or a commitment or a relationship. For example, I might be looking for a new job and I see one that looks really great, but then I get to the salary and it's way too low. That's a deal breaker. That causes me to abandon that plan, the plan to apply for that job. The salary is a deal breaker. We also use this a lot in relationships. You might say, she lied to me. That's a deal breaker. So you're going to end the relationship, you're going to abandon it because she lied. And that's a deal breaker. Number 12, a do-over. A do-over is another attempt to do something when your previous attempt was unsuccessful. So let's say you go to a job interview and it went terribly. You did really poorly. You could say, I wish I could have a do-over. I wish I could do the interview again. But unfortunately, most of the time we don't get do-overs. But you might be in a situation where you're in a class and the professor gave you a test and everybody did poorly on the test. So the professor might give the students a do-over. The professor gives the students a chance to do the test again because everyone did really poorly. Number 13, to come in handy. When something comes in handy, it's very useful. So this is a positive one. So let's say you're considering adding a new feature to a product you provide or a service, and you might say, oh, this new feature will really come in handy. It will come in handy. It will be useful. Number 14, to be a breeze. We describe something as a breeze when it's really easy. For example, learning English is a breeze, right? It's really easy. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on what your take on it is. Or I could say using Google Docs is a breeze. It's really easy. And then I could add using Google Docs is a breeze compared to MS Word. So in that case, I'm saying that Google Docs is easier than MS Word. And finally, number 15, to be spot on. When someone is spot on, they're 100% accurate or correct. For example, I could say the weather forecast this weekend was spot on. The meteorologist said it was going to rain on Saturday at 2 o'clock, and it rained on Saturday at 2 o'clock. He said it was going to be sunny and 25 on Sunday, and that's exactly what it was. The forecast was spot on. And now you have 15 new advanced expressions to sound fluent. Are you ready for your quiz? Feel free to go back, review the video again if you need, but if you're ready, let's complete your quiz. So here's how the quiz is going to work. You're going to see a sentence and you have to decide which expression best completes the sentence. I'll only give you a few seconds, so hit pause and take as much time as you need. So let's do this one together. Which option is it? A, B, or C? And the answer is A, bring someone up to speed. Now notice how I also completed the sentence. You can do that as well for additional practice to make sure you get the grammar correct. So those are the instructions. Now let's continue on with the next question. How did you do with that quiz? Make sure you share your score in the comments below, and let's move on to the final group. In this group, you're going to learn 15 idioms that native speakers actually use in our daily vocabulary. And you can add all of these to your vocabulary as well. Now, I have a PDF that summarizes these 50 idioms. So at the end of this group, I'll give you the link to download this PDF. Let's get started. To play something by ear. This is when you make a decision in the moment rather than planning in advance. So let's say you're talking about your weekend and your husband or your friend says, "What do you want to do this weekend?" And you might say, "Let's play it by ear. Let's decide as the weekend happens, not in advance. Let's play it by ear." To be all ears. We use this to say that you're ready to listen and you're paying full attention. So let's say you tell your boss you want to discuss something important about the project, and your boss replies, "I'm all ears. I'm all ears." To wake up on the wrong side of the bed. This is a great one. We've all done this. It's when you wake up in a bad mood. You wake up grumpy. So let's say you wake up, you go in the kitchen, and your wife, your husband, says, "Oh, hi, honey, how are you? Would you like some coffee? What do you want for breakfast?" And you're grumpy. I don't care. Where's my phone?" And you're being grumpy. Well, then your wife, your husband can say, "Well, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed." And that's just to let you know you're being grumpy. To wing something. When you wing something, you perform a speech or presentation without planning in advance. So you definitely don't want to wing your IELTS exam, right? To make a mountain out of a molehill. A molehill is really small, a mountain is really big. So it's when you take a minor problem or issue and you make it seem really serious or severe. So let's say you got one question wrong on a test and you're acting like it's extremely serious. Someone could say, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. They're letting you know it's really not that bad. To be at a crossroads. This is when you have to make a really important decision that could impact your life. Let's say you've been a graphic designer for 10 years, but you're considering going back to school and changing careers and becoming a lawyer or a teacher. So you might say, I'm not sure if I want to be a graphic designer anymore. I'm at a crossroads because that decision will impact your life. To rain cats and dogs, this is when it rains heavily. So let's say your friend in a different city asks you, oh, did it rain last night? And it did. It rained heavily. You can say, yeah, it rained cats and dogs. To be on top of the world, this is when you're really, really happy. So let's say you got a new promotion, you can say, I'm on top of the world. To give someone the cold shoulder. This is when you ignore someone, and you ignore someone on purpose, usually because you're mad at them, annoyed with them, they did something wrong or something to irritate you. So let's say your husband or your wife is ignoring you. You might say, why are you giving me the cold shoulder? It's another way of asking, why are you mad at me? What did I do wrong? Why are you giving me the cold shoulder? To sit on the fence. This is when you delay making a decision, usually because that decision is difficult and you don't want to make it. For example, I asked my boss for a promotion, but he's sitting on the fence. So he won't answer me. He won't say yes, he won't say no. He keeps just saying, oh, I need to think about it. I'll get back to you. He's sitting on the fence. To hit the nail on the head. This is when you accurately explain a problem or a situation. For example, you hit the nail on the head when you said we needed to reduce our costs. So you explain the situation accurately. To be as fit as a fiddle. This simply means you feel great. You have good health. You're in good shape. So maybe you could say, since I changed my diet and I'm eating more fruits and vegetables, I feel as fit as a fiddle. This is a great one. To get something out of your system. This is when you do something or you try something simply so you can move on. For example, let's say you've been talking about going skydiving for years and years. You research it, you look at different websites, you talk to people about it, but you've never actually done it. Someone might say, just go skydiving so you can get it out of your system. So once you do it, you can stop researching it, stop looking it up, and just move on already. I like this one. Speak of the devil. speak of the devil. This sounds negative because of devil, but it's not at all. This is used when you're talking about someone and they appear exactly as you're talking about them. This has happened, right? Let's say you're talking to a friend about your mutual friend, Bob, and you're talking about Bob. Oh, is Bob going to come to the party? Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Bob. And then your phone rings, and guess what? It's Bob. And then you can say, speak of the devil. To give someone the benefit of the doubt, this is when you trust someone when they tell you something. So if a coworker's late and they call you and they say, I'm stuck in traffic, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's trust that he's actually stuck in traffic. No pain, no gain. This is a classic one. This is used to say that if you want results, real results, you have to be willing to work hard and get uncomfortable. So I might say, if you want to improve your public speaking skills, no pain, no gain. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Hang in there. This is a great one. It simply means don't give up. I know learning a language is hard, but hang in there. A penny for your thoughts. This is used to ask someone what they're thinking. So let's say your friend is just staring out the window and you probably are wondering, what are they thinking about? You can turn to your friend and say, a penny for your thoughts. It's not rocket science. Rocket science is complicated, right? But if we say it's not rocket science, this means it's not complicated. So I could say becoming a confident English speaker is not rocket science. It's not complicated. You just have to practice speaking. To let someone off the hook. This is a great one because it means that you don't punish someone for a mistake or a wrongdoing. So your boss could say, I know you came in late today, but I'm going to let you off the hook. I'm not going to punish you. To make a long story short, this is when you take a long and usually complicated story and you make it very simple by sharing it briefly. So you could say, long story short, we missed our flight. So there's a long story about why you missed your flight, but you don't explain those details. You just say, long story short, we missed our flight. Easy does it. Easy does it. This is a way of saying slow down. So if your friend is at the gym and they're trying to do too many exercises with too much weight, you might say, easy does it, slow down. To go back to the drawing board. This is when you need to start over and create a new plan or strategy because the first one failed. So let's say you were trying to solve a computer problem, you came up with a strategy, it didn't work, and then you can say to your team, well, let's go back to the drawing board and try again. Once in a blue moon. This is an event that happens infrequently. For example, I only see Kara once in a blue moon, not very often. At the drop of a hat. This is a great one because it means without hesitation or instantly. For example, call me if you need anything and I'll be there at the drop of a hat. It means I'll come instantly if you need anything. So it's a really nice, reassuring thing to say to someone. To add insult to injury. This is when you take a bad situation and it becomes even worse. So let's say you're going out on a first date and your date showed up late. That's already a bad situation. But then to add insult to injury, your date forgot his wallet and you had to pay for both of you. To hit the sack, this means to go to bed. For example, I'm really tired, I'm going to hit the sack. The ball's in your court. This is used when you need to make the next decision or the next step. So I might say, we offered her a great promotion, so now the ball's in her court. So it's up to her to decide if she's going to accept the promotion or look for another job or do something else. To be or to go, barking up the wrong tree. This is when you look in the wrong place or you accuse the wrong person. For example, if you think I lost your ring, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're accusing the wrong person. To get or to have your ducks in a row. This is when you're well prepared or well organized for something specific. So you might say, the conference was supposed to start 10 minutes ago. They should have gotten their ducks in a row. They should have been organized or prepared. To get or have the best of both worlds. This is when you enjoy the advantages of two very different things at the same time. She works in the city, but she lives in the country. She gets the best of both worlds. The lion's share. This is the largest part or most of something. So you might complain, I did the lion's share of work on this project. To be on the ball. This is when you're performing really well. Wow, you completed all those reports already? You're on the ball. To pull someone's leg. This is when you're joking with someone. So we usually use this to reassure someone you're only joking. Don't get upset, I'm just pulling your leg. To pull yourself together. This is when you need to calm down. You regain your composure after being really upset or agitated, angry, annoyed, and then you calm down. So I might say, pull yourself together. It was a false alarm. So the alarm made you really agitated, and I'm telling you to calm down. So far, so good. This is how you reply when you want to let someone know that everything is okay until now. How's the project going? So far, so good. To be the last straw. This is when you have no patience left for someone's errors or mistakes. So I might say, this is her 5th time being late this month. That's the last straw. No more patience for her mistakes. Time flies when you're having fun. This is used to say that you don't notice how long something takes because it's enjoyable. So you might look at your watch and say, oh wow, it's 1 a.m. already? And then someone could reply and say, yeah, time flies when you're having fun. To be bent out of shape. This is used to say you're upset, you're angry. For example, Janice is bent out of shape because she has to work late tonight. To make matters worse. Matters in this sense means problems. To make problems worse. So I might say, I have to work tonight, and to make matters worse, to make that situation even worse, I have an early appointment tomorrow. Don't judge a book by its cover. You've probably heard this one. It means that you shouldn't judge someone or something on appearance. For example, let's say I'm hiring people and I say, I'm not going to hire him. Look at his hair. And then my colleague would say, well, don't judge a book by its cover. Look at his resume. To fall between two stools. This is when something fails to achieve two separate objectives. So let's say you plan to watch a romantic comedy movie. That movie is supposed to be romantic and funny at the same time. A romantic comedy, two objectives. So you could say that movie fell between two stools. It wasn't romantic and it wasn't funny. To cost an arm and a leg. This is when something is exceptionally expensive. Now, airline tickets are usually expensive, but exceptionally expensive, even more expensive than usual. I might say my flight cost an arm and a leg. To cross a bridge when you come to it. This is used to remind someone that you only need to deal with the situation when it happens. So your friend might be concerned, what if I forget all my words during my IELTS speaking exam? And then you tell that friend, cross that bridge when you come to it. Worry about that problem when it happens. To cry over spilt milk. This is used when someone complains about a problem or a loss from the past. So let's say I had a party weeks ago and now I'm complaining, I can't believe John didn't come to my party. Well, my friend can say, don't cry over spilled milk. It was 3 weeks ago. Why are you still talking about it? Curiosity killed the cat. This is used to say that being inquisitive or asking a lot of questions can lead to an unpleasant situation. So let's say your husband or wife is planning you a surprise birthday party and you try to ask a lot of questions. What are we doing? Where are we going? Who's coming? Then your husband or wife can say, curiosity killed the cat, just to remind you, don't ask so many questions. To miss the boat. This is when you lose an opportunity because you were too slow to take action. For example, the application deadline was last week. I missed the boat. To be on fire. This is to perform really well. Wow, your presentation was amazing. You were on fire. To spill the beans. This is when you reveal a secret when you shouldn't have revealed a secret. So let's say you're planning a surprise party for someone and then you tell everyone, don't spill the beans. Don't reveal the secret. And finally, to be under the weather. This is when you feel unwell, when you feel sick. Oh, I'm a little under the weather today. Wow, amazing job. Now you have 50 useful idioms that native speakers use. Of course, you need to practice these idioms to feel comfortable adding them to your speech. So you can go to my website and you can download the PDF version that shares the idiom, the definition, and the example. So you can go to the link to get that PDF. Amazing job with this lesson. Now you have over 150 new words added to your vocabulary. Congratulations, that's awesome. Of course, you need to review and review this vocabulary to feel comfortable using it in your speech. So make sure you add this video to your playlist, Put it in your bookmarks so you can come back to it again and again, especially before an important meeting or a job interview, so you can review that specific section. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe. And until next time, happy studying!